There's pain in these waters, and it's not sharks. It's something quick, ugly, and almost invisible. The fear factor on Australian beaches is heard as screams of agony. These marine creatures have built up defences that use an arsenal of projectiles, hollow barbs, ribbons of pain, chemical warfare at the most ancient level. They'll take away your breath, your consciousness, your life. You won't believe what's down there to swallow you up in the killer instinct deep of ocean venom. Bredl is always on the hunt for killer instinct in all its forms. From the bush and mountains, it's now down to the sea. Rob's destination is the tiny coral cay known as Lady Elliot Island on the east coast of Australia and the southernmost point of the Great Barrier Reef. Rob intends to travel northwards to find the most potent venoms that drift in these warm tropical waters. Lady Elliot Island is a perfect starting point, a world-renowned dive and snorkeling site in the world's richest marine ecosystem. Recreational divers from around the world come to swim with the manta rays and turtles, a huge variety of tropical fish, sharks, moray eels, and even the occasional killer and minke whale. This is indeed a beautiful place, but Rob sees the reef in an entirely different way.
It might look like paradise up here, but out there there's a war going on, and it's total war. It gives new meaning to the words, "Take no prisoners." And the arsenal ranges from chemical weaponry to heavy artillery and everything you can imagine in between. If you really knew what was happening out there, you would think twice about putting your big toe in the water.
Australia is a vast, dry continent. Most of its 18 million population live on the coast. A sun-loving beach lifestyle is the accepted recreational getaway here. Almost all Australians are taught to swim from an early age. They are also warned of the dangers of entering a realm that doesn't always teem with friendly or playful wildlife. But outside Australia, not a lot is known about the kinds of creatures Rob is going to take us to see. An experienced snorkeler and fisherman, Rob now puts on scuba gear to get to the home grounds of an array of animals that have developed a quest for survival. But the ocean venom Rob is hunting for isn't necessarily in the dim depths. For Rob, the same rules apply on land as they do under the shimmering blue. Find a little nook or cranny and plunge your hand in and see what you find. Inhabited cowrie shells, fluorescent blue fish, and a golden-lit, warm garden that would take many lifetimes to explore. But even the rose has thorns. But here they're sharp, stinging, deadly thorns filled with toxic cocktails of venom. Some of the more familiar poison carriers of the deep, like this lionfish or butterfly cod, are well known. But Rob's mission is to hunt, handle and explain weapon-firing cone shells, the lethal blue-ringed octopus, the right way to de-sting a stingray, what not to do with the world's deadliest fish, and the most dangerous creature in all the world's oceans. And that's what Rob is starting with. This creature is so deadly, it's responsible for 72 reported human deaths.
By the way, Michelle, you wouldn't have a spare pair of pantyhose, would you?
Rob's request we'll deal with later. He's about to start netting for that most dangerous creature.
Now, you might think I've gone a bit strange, but there's a very good reason for doing this. Doesn't feel too bad either. And I hope this is the only time you're going to see me in pantyhose. I feel sorry for the ladies having to do this all the time. Where's my sword?
Rob really does have a good reason.
Okay, Michelle, let's go.
For the pantyhose.
It's a young banana prawn.
Because coming up, he eats raw live prawns and starts to see the results of his netting. And later, Rob dives with stingrays. The tide has dropped, and Rob continues netting with Michelle.
Try and miss some of that debris. No, I'll go out a bit.
The further north Rob travels, the better his chances are at catching his target prey.
Just come in over there.
And this is what Rob is hunting for. The box jellyfish is generally grouped under the general heading of marine stinger, but is also known as the sea wasp, though this name sells the power of its stinging tentacles very short. Rob continues his drag netting, happy to wade through the low tide ooze. For Rob, though, it's not just the end result. The journey always reveals much along the way.
Little banana prawn, a little crab. Yeah, not what we're after either. It's too much rubbish, Michelle.
What's all that rubbish?
Oh, look at that. Oh, there's a couple of nice ones here. At least it wasn't all in vain. And did you know you can eat them raw? Not bad, do it, you know? Try it. And what do you reckon?
Bit jelly.
Yeah.
Cooks better.
Beggars can't be choosers, do they?
The seagulls also fancy some raw prawn or shrimp.
They're really nice. They know what's good for them too.
But they seem a little fussier than Rob in their preparation.
See the one over going to washing it? Don't like them muddy either.
At the end of this day, no box jellyfish were found, but the evidence of their presence is posted with more frequency the further north Rob travels. There are more than just box jellyfish that are deadly, and many beaches have enclosed areas to protect swimmers. So why all the hype, the signs, the barriers? How bad is a box jellyfish attack? Melissa Peck is lucky to be alive.
I wasn't in deep water, and I just stepped out and just instant pain, just like sticking your legs in the coals. Yeah, it was very painful. It's something I don't want to ever experience again.
We've likened it to putting a piece of barbed wire into the hot coals of a fire and letting it turn red, being whipped with that barbed wire.
You've got 60 tentacles up to 3 metres in length. 180 metres of tentacle contact is possible, and death has occurred from 1.2 metres. So that's an awful lot of firepower for one small jellyfish.
Melissa's skin displays the characteristic flayed markings.
3 weeks later, the scarring is still present, and I'll be left with scars for the rest of my life.
If treatment is not given, the pain may last for weeks. Melissa survived, but many have died from the box's deadly toxin. Add shark attacks and other lethal marine life Rob's yet to show us, and you may be asking, why do Aussies still risk entering the water at all?
There's no doubt about knowing that a person's being stung by a box jellyfish sting, the terror of the scream that is produced by anybody that's been stung.
As terrible as 72 reported box jellyfish deaths and 149 verified shark deaths here in Australia sounds, there have been over 166,000 road fatalities. The swim in the ocean is statistically safer than the drive there. Well, that's the way the beach-loving Australians reason it anyway. So Rob risks his life and drives to yet another netting attempt even further along the Great Barrier Reef. This time he works with Brad Seawright, a professional lifeguard who sweeps his patrolled beach every morning during stinger season. Rob's added booties to his pantyhose ensemble now. He believes he's getting closer to a catch. But there are more than just box jellyfish to nip you.
When you're looking for jellyfish with a dragnet, you find all sorts of things. Now this is a smallish sand crab. They get a lot bigger. Can cut you around a bit with those claws if they bite. Now this one is a female. If you look at the back, very high across the back. Males are more flat, but the telltale sign is underneath. The flap here is where she keeps her eggs when she lays her eggs. Males have just a little, like a pyramid. Hers are wider. We'll get her back in the water, because that'll lock me out of too much. Now this is a flathead. Very good eating sort of a fish. Fairly nice spines on him, but around their head here, around the gills here, they've got these spines. They shake their head, whack, 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 cut you around a bit. And they do have a venomous mucus on it, which stings a bit. Not that bad. Best way to handle it is inside the mouth like that. Can't do nothing to you, really. Calling sea wise called a flathead. Buries himself in the sand, and he's an ambush hunter too, very much like a stonefish. Waits for stuff to come past, and he goes, chomp, gotcha.
The official beach sweep netting is complete for this perfect tropical morning, and swimmers enter the protected zone. But there can be no guarantees. And there are other stingers like the irukandji to worry about.
The irukandji is a very, very small box jellyfish. It's only got one tentacle in each corner. It's only about 12 millimetres across. It's absolutely tiny. The problem is that it can get through our stinger nets, and so it actually penetrates through them and people get stung inside the nets. Well, people are more aware of it now, mainly because they thought they were very safe swimming in the stinger enclosures where they're protected, and all of a sudden they're getting stings inside the nets, and it's a very, very unpleasant syndrome, very unpleasant.
But Rob has netted another ocean curiosity.
What is it? Well, it's a kind of a prawn. It's what they call a mantis shrimp. He mimics the praying mantis on land. He's got this great arm here, which he grabs prey, crunches into his body. He actually kills other prawns. A real predator, this fellow. And a stranger looking thing I guess you've never ever seen. That's what he uses to swim with. And he lives in a hole in the ground and sits in there waiting for stuff to come past, and he just chunks out and grabs them with that and eats them.
The sun climbs higher, and Rob's hope of finding a box jellyfish specimen isn't living up to the hype. But he remains philosophical.
We've done 6 drags with a 100-foot net, and we haven't found one yet. But they're out there, and believe you me, it's a bit like Russian roulette. If you go out there unprotected, it could be your day. I wouldn't call that lucky. It'd be damn unlucky.
But soon a box with Rob's name on it eventually becomes entangled in his net.
And finally, I've got one. It's the deadliest marine creature on the planet. Now, even though this one's only a juvenile, it still carries a deadly sting. And that's the reason I'm wearing my pantyhose. It can't sting through the pantyhose. So if you have to swim, wear pantyhose.
With Rob's fashion secret now revealed, he vows to find a mature specimen. Coming up, plunge into the Great Barrier Reef and meet the ugly side of nature. The Great Barrier Reef, considered one of the world's natural wonders, is the most extensive reef system and the biggest structure made by living organisms on the planet. Surprisingly, the box jellyfish is a coastal species and is not found out on the reef, but they can sometimes be found around islands close to the mainland. Still, with 1,500 species of fish and 4,000 species of mollusks, you've got to expect survival techniques to be many and varied. Rob swaps his scuba gear for a snorkel, knowing he'll probably find what he's looking for in the shallows. Just offshore, where many visitors walk the reef at low tide, lives a fish that carries not only a deadly sting, but an almost perfect camouflage. Rob's sharp eyes sees through this creature's deception, and he seems to pick up a weed and shellfish-encrusted rock.
Now this strange looking thing's not a stone and it's not a bit of seaweed, even though it looks like it. Well, look at, see there's a big fin. There's another big fin over here. Looks like a stone. It goes without saying, this is a stonefish. And of all of our poisonous fishes, is one of the most venomous. Sort of sits in amongst the rocks, and at low tide, if you're walking around without shoes on, you can be in trouble.
Envenomations from the stonefish are encountered by those reef walkers. It doesn't lie in wait to sting humans, but is trapped in low tide pools and stumbled upon.
If I just give you a little touch here, you'll see the spines come up. That's his poisonous spines. There are 13 of them. They'll even go through a shoe. One consolation with this particular poisonous fish, it does not inject venom unless you stand on the spine. It's actually the pressure of the foot going down onto it that causes the venom to come out. So the harder you stand on him, the more poison you get. Now what I find rather strange is why he developed that. You think, who's going to stand on a stonefish? He lives underwater, who goes walking? It's amazing, really.
Vulnerable to bottom-feeding sharks and rays, its row of unlucky 13 venomous spines may act as a defence in these cases. But as Rob says, even a shark would have to stand on it.
And it's just used as a defence mechanism, that's all. Nothing else, it's strictly defence. His eyes are just up here. His mouth, huge mouth, goes from here right around over there. If he opens it up, you're not going to open it up for me. And how he catches his prey, he just waits, and when it comes past, he opens his huge gill flaps and he goes suck. And he sucks them straight in. He's an ambush hunter.
Here, the stonefish stealthily waits. Then, the whole ambush has just been timed at 1.5 hundredths of a second. The victim never sees what hit it.
Now they love to live under jetties. They actually sit on pylons up or down, sort of blending in with the growth.
Here's an interesting standoff. The poisonous butterfly cod is balefully watched by the stonefish, but nothing happens. It looks like professional courtesy.
Now you can see that when he swims, he uses these fins here for swimming more so than his little tail. Not much of a swimmer. He probably drifts with the current more than anything else. If you do get stung by one of these fellows, there is anti-venom available, but in the meantime, heat. The hotter the water, the better. It tends to break down the protein, so it eases the pain a little bit. Now, I've never been stung, and I don't want to be stung, but I believe they're extremely painful, extremely painful. I wouldn't suggest anyone to go around picking them up like this.
Victims become frantic with pain, which lasts for hours. Temporary paralysis, shock, and even death may result.
You can eat them, but looking at the body, there isn't much meat on them. That's only the spines that are poisonous, not the flesh. Looks like he's getting used to me. He thinks I'm not going to hurt him, so he's decided to like me, I suppose. Big ugly mouth, but I'll give him a kiss.
As Rob continues his quest to kiss everything on the planet that doesn't have lips, the sun begins to set. Rob and his crew have to hit the road north again. Next up, pretty shells, pretty deadly. And later, Rob gets his man. Rob's now exploring some of the less urbanised coastline. Less population equals less disturbance of the natural world and more likelihood of finding animals in their natural state. tropical storm far out to sea darkens the horizon. Cyclones are not uncommon here in summer and can cause a lot of damage to shorelines if they cross the coast. But Rob's still got sun and continues his search for the next creature to cause pain and suffering for those seeking recreation in this nirvana.
When one mentions the words ocean venoms, most people think of sea snakes, jellyfish, stingrays and stonefish. Most people love coming to the beach. They think all the bites are out there. Finding shells like these cowries amongst the rocks would inspire anybody to start their own shell collection. But believe you me, collecting shells can be dangerous. But they are incredibly beautiful.
But it seems there is always a price to be paid for paradise. And Rob soon finds it in the form of the cone shell snail.
Now this is one of the killer snails. Now I've only been here on the beach for about 15 minutes and I've already found 4 cone shells. Just when you thought it was safe to come back to the beaches, we found the beaches have got killer snails. What more do you want?
Cone shell venom basically causes paralysis of respiratory muscles. It stops people breathing and they die from respiratory failure.
The venom from one geographer cone is capable of killing 700 people, so naturally Rob heads out to the reef to find some, with of course some distractions on the way.
Just about everything out here has a way of defending itself. This leopard sea cucumber shoots out sticky, poisonous mucus from its anus.
These Cuvierian tubules, which are toxic to predators and irritating to human skin, also contain a toxin which can cause blindness.
This particular sea cucumber has a little fish that lives inside its lower intestines. I find that really incredible.
Soon, beneath Rob, is a scene reminiscent of the great herds on the plain, moving as one. These are cone shell snails, peppering the seabed. Some are pretty, a few are deadly. Pretty deadly.
Now these cone shells defend themselves and hunt their prey with a poisonous dart, a little harpoon. And I won't hold him too long because they can shoot it backwards also. Very pretty shell, so you can see that it'd be picked up by people quite easily. Never put it in your pocket, hold it in your hand. There are 100,000 known species of shells on this planet, and only 10 are known to be dangerous to man. This one's a geography cone. It's also one of the most dangerous ones.
Rob gets into position to witness another survival adaptation in the ocean.
What's amazing about these shells is they have a little dart, hollow, full of toxic poison they shoot into their prey. Now some eat fish, they're the deadliest ones. Others eat other snails, and the other ones eat worms. The fish killers are the most deadly ones, and the dart is in fact a modified tooth. These creatures grow a tooth in the shape of a dart, spit it out full of toxic venom, and it kills almost instantaneously. The little fish get hit, they just die instantly. And it's quite toxic to humans as well. There have been deaths. Of the 600 species of cone shells, only about 10 are known to be dangerous to man, and these two are the most dangerous.
The geographer and the textile are very pretty shells, but a look, don't touch practice is the safest path. Conus geographus, or the geography cone, has killed at least 30 people. Next, Rob finds his prized and deadly adult box jellyfish. True to his word, Rob continues with his search to find a larger box jellyfish. And this time, he's abandoned the net and gone in, flippers and all. His prize catch is a fine specimen. But remember, as Rob knows, the box jellyfish is the most venomous marine creature. But why so much killing power just to catch small prey? Researchers believe a stinging shrimp might tear the delicate jellyfish, so it needs to be killed instantly with the strongest poison of the depths. Back on shore, Rob stresses handling box jellyfish in this way is for the carefully experienced only.
They reckon they're 95% water, but people that have been stung will tell you they're 95% sting.
The tentacles have 3 kinds of stinging cells. One defensive, one aggressive for hunting, and one with barbs in it to hang on. But it doesn't matter which one gets you. They all hurt like hell. And they break off on your body as well. Now, strangely enough, they can't sting through the palm of the hand. The skin's just too thick. If I was to rub my face, I'd get stung. Imagine this is microscopic and sharper than a needle. And your skin is here. When it hits your skin, it actually turns itself inside out. It goes shoom in and it's in you. Turns inside out and it's got you. And the venom is in the hollow.
There are up to 5 million of those nematocysts per tentacle. So quick action must be taken to save the life of someone with a large area of the body stung.
Okay, it's okay. Settle down. It's okay. Get it out.
The first treatment applied to a victim is not an exotic pharmaceutical.
When someone's stung by a box jellyfish, the tentacles actually get ripped off and left on the skin. And there are batteries of stinging cells, and the longer the tentacle's in contact with the skin, the more and more of these batteries that are brought into action and fire more venom. So the first thing is to prevent further stinging, and vinegar is excellent for this. Vinegar poured on for 30 seconds will completely prevent further stinging.
That's ordinary household vinegar.
2,000,
3 major effects. There's one effect that it has on the skin where it causes severe skin pain and skin damage. But however, the most important ones are ones that affect the respiratory system and ones that affect the heart. And it's basically a large dose of the cardiotoxin that stops the heart very rapidly that causes the deaths. If the heart stops, the respiratory system will stop anyway. But if the respiratory system stops, then you've only got a short time to resuscitate them.
A powerful weapon for a blob of transparent jelly. But Rob is now racing against time to get the big box transported 600 kilometres, almost 400 miles, to an ocean research facility. A special holding tank is set up in a van.
No, it didn't even lose a tentacle. Well, I got stung on the side and I just looked at him.
The drama builds as the box jelly's aeration pump needs an on-the-road rebuild, and there are other hold-ups. But all make it safe and sound, even the bad guy. And even he seems to be happy in his new home, taking the time to relax and extend his tentacles once again.
What we've got here is a saltwater pool set up with a box jellyfish in it. With a bit of luck, I'll try and show you how they hunt. Through my experiences, I suspect that the box jellyfish comes to vibrations. It's one of the ways he hunts. Now, the reason I think the jellyfish come to vibrations is because the food they eat live in schools and are hunted by other larger fish. And when that happens, there's a lot of vibration in the water. This tremendous commotion in the water will tell the jellyfish that there's a lot of food in that area. So when he goes through that area, trailing his tentacles behind him, he's got a greater chance of getting a feed. The stinging devices on the tentacles, called nematocysts, not only contain poison,
but it's like a little harpoon. It also hangs onto the fish, so it can't get away. What I find really amazing about this particular jellyfish, it's about 2 kilograms of clear jelly that can sense light, feel vibration, actively hunt its food. It's the most mobile jellyfish I know. It also digests food, but it appears to have no circulatory system and no brain. Now, I find that incredible.
But what could be more incredible is coming up. Another powerful ocean killer, the size of a cookie. If there's one thing Rob loves more than a rotten tree log full of snakes and spiders, it's little ocean rock pools filled with what Rob calls the jewels of the sea.
I'm looking for one of the 10 most deadly sea creatures on the earth. What's more amazing is that most of the people that come to this beach don't even know they exist.
This is not only because they're shy, but also because of their size.
Now, they're not easy to find because they're not very big and they can hide exceptionally well.
Not the kind of animal you want to go looking for, though.
I found one here. Now, it's really small, but it's really, really deadly. It's just under this rock. It's a blue-ringed octopus, and I'm wearing gloves because it's got a poisonous bite. And if it bites you, it's totally painless. You don't know you've been bitten. The first thing you know is you become paralysed. And basically that's it, you'll die. Now, when it's agitated, little blue rings appear on its body. Normally it doesn't have them. And this one's agitated, because I've just caught it. Doesn't like being out of the water. Now, this one's about as big as it grows, and I know it's a female because it's got a bunch of eggs. It's dropped them. And another thing is with the octopus family, is when the female lays eggs, she stays with them till they hatch, and then a few days later, they die. Now, I've had the bare hand there. She's probably stuck on there trying to bite. Off you go. Look at those bright blue flashes. Look at the rings, they're really bright blue. I'll give her back her eggs. Now, the biggest octopuses are the Pacific octopus. And they grow to about 8 feet or 2.4 metres across their arms. All octopuses have a poisonous saliva, but not all of them affect humans. But this one does.
Hiding in tide pools, it hunts for its main prey, crabs, which it bags ambush style.
The venom of blue-ringed octopus is tetrodotoxin, which is exactly the same as you get in pufferfish and causes fugu poisoning in Japan. And so it is exactly the same, except this time it's actually injected into the body rather than just eaten and absorbed that way. There are thousands, probably millions of blue-ringed octopus all the way around the southern half of Australia and lots of places in the world. People often play with them, they shouldn't. They're usually not very exciting looking at all, dark brown colour, but when you prod them or irritate them, all these blue rings appear, so they can be very, very attractive to kids. And kids often prod them and poke them and pick them up. And there doesn't seem to be any envenomations, but there have been 3 deaths in the world, 1 in Singapore and 2 in Australia.
Yet another well-adapted creature, it's like a shy child in Rob's hands, but becomes filled with a killer instinct when it's in its hunting ground.
The venom of the blue-ringed octopus just gets destroyed by the body by the heat of it, and over 4 to 6 hours this occurs, and all you've got to do is protect their airway this time, and they'll live with no problem.
Rob's gone back to netting again to demonstrate the kinds of creatures anyone can encounter close to shore in these waters.
Now, they use their tail a bit like a scorpion. They've got a poisonous spine. The best way to handle them is take the tail in your mouth, keep him straight so you can't use it, And that's the little barb just there. The barb, you stand on him, he uses it like a scorpion. Now what they do is when they hit you, it breaks off in your body. Terribly painful, and it's full of little barbs, so it doesn't come out too easy. Again, hot water is the treatment. Seems to neutralise the proteins there. And surgical removal.
The sting causes excessive bleeding and excruciating pain. Pain that can remain with the victim for many months.
We'll let him go. Other than that, he really can't hurt you. You see him use that little tail a bit like a... He brings it up and uses it like a scorpion. There we go, zot, zot.
Rob dives to find larger and more varied types of stingray and finds a nice little stingray truck stop inside this sea cave. There are around 35 species of stingray in all, with fairly much the same body shape and variations in size and colour markings. This is a large leopard ray. Stingrays like this guy, when at his full size, have enough force to damage and even break a wooden boat with their lashing tails. Another large ray passes over Rob, heading out of the cave. Rob knows if he was stung in the abdomen or chest, it could be fatal. They're a fairly placid animal that keep to themselves, but look at the size of that stinging barb. With other curious visitors entering the cave, it's time to move on. Coming up next, the deadliest killers of the seas aren't even animals.
Most people realise that in the oceans that sharks, stingrays, jellyfish, cone shells and blue-ringed octopus are dangerous. But in recent times, there's a new threat. It's the algal blooms. And these have a potential of being really, really dangerous because they can enter the food chain.
The ocean is the teeming lifeblood of the Earth. In fact, many scientists wonder why we call the planet Earth when its surface is actually 72% water. It's only in modern times we've seen the impact of humans on this environment. And one of the more recent examples is agricultural runoff into waterways that eventually finds its way into the oceans. The results of this are becoming catastrophic on a global scale. The result of our species spread in this way is creating new unseen killers in the oceans.
And we've found something you wouldn't expect to be toxic. Algae.
Dr. Lyndon Llewellyn is Senior Research Scientist at the Australian Institute of Marine Science.
There was an enormous bloom of this algae in the early 1990s that extended along almost 600 or 700 miles of one of our major river systems. Problems like that have now occurred in places like New Zealand, all throughout Europe, throughout Asia, and there are emerging instances occurring through the Americas as well.
The algae in these blooms at such high concentrations introduce toxins to the food chain.
What happens is the clams and oysters and mussels filter feed upon the algae, and as well as getting nutrition, they pull the toxin out of the algae and become extremely toxic.
One type is called saxitoxin. The effects are devastating. One case in Timor is becoming typical.
A case we've been investigating recently, and the fellow there died within 2 hours of his meal. He caught a crab, cooked it on an open fire, ate the crab, rejoined the party that he was participating in, started feeling a bit giddy, weak, went into the ocean, threw up, and then said he was feeling tired, went and laid down, and then people checked on him half an hour later and he was already dead. The symptoms that you experience are things like tingling in your fingers, tingling in your mouth and your other extremities like ears and your nose.
Saxitoxin is so potent it gained the attention of the Department of Defence.
This toxin was deemed to be as potent and as dangerous as sarin gas and mustard gas, and so it is in the same class as those toxins and is treated as a chemical weapon.
These two reef crabs and this tiny specimen, the green shawl crab, carry the saxitoxin in huge amounts. Enough in one crab, says Dr. Llewellyn, to kill several thousand people. Toxins are also created from other algae. Here, Rob assists in collecting sea hairs for research into the control of a blue-green algae called Lingbia. Rob feels the effects of the toxic algae firsthand.
I can see some little red spots coming up just in the the edge of the finger there, like little red spots just in there. So it was very tingly in the skin, a bit like minute pins and needles.
Angela Kappa is a researcher at the Centre for Marine Studies, and she is having success in finding a biocontrol agent. These little sea hares could be the answer in the control of Lyngbya.
These things are voracious feeders on Lyngbya. They just can't get enough of it. If you put a large amount of Lyngbya in there within a day or two, depending how many sea slugs you have, it's gone. They just process it so quickly. They just eat it constantly. And when the Lyngbya blooms, not long afterwards you have a sea hare bloom, and then obviously when the Lyngbya dies, then the sea hares, you get population crash, and these things all wash ashore on the beach. There don't seem to be any predators of these small sea slugs because they produce a purple toxic ink, which seems to deter fish from eating them. And given that they naturally die anyway when the Lyngbya bloom dies, these seem a reasonable potential candidate for biocontrol.
Looking at the dye, considering it's a poisonous ink, if you want to call it that, maybe the predator isn't a fast one because he's not escaping in any sort of speed. There's a squid, he spurts out the ink, and where he was is where the ink is. So the animal grabs ink. Well, this one doesn't. So by poisoning the water around him, it's probably going to deter the predator. So there's got to be something out there that eats him. There has to be, I'd say. What I've noticed in this tank of sea hares with no food is that they are inflating their breathing apparatus and then floating away on the current. Now that's probably a way of these very slow moving animals finding a new food source when they run out. Inflate your breathing apparatus, float up into the current and then drift away. Because you'd never walk there at that speed.
Angela's research so far looks promising and may one day assist in the control of the deadly saxitoxin. Until then, Dr. Lyndon Llewellyn is developing a simple test kit.
We're trying to help the consumer and we're trying to prevent deaths, I suppose, and also enable the shellfish farmer to manage their produce. If they harvest their shellfish and they're found to be toxic, then they have to destroy the whole lot. You can actually detoxify the shellfish by leaving them in clean water.
It's a comfort to know these scientists and researchers are working for solutions to humanity's own self-destruction. But it's also a sobering thought that the deadliest dwellers of the depths aren't the sharks or killer whales or even the box jellyfish. It may be this little crab that Rob's just found. Remember, this one tiny crab could be responsible for several thousand human deaths. Next up, the final word on ocean venom. The oceans are a three-dimensional living space. Almost 4/5 of our planet's surface is water. In some places it's up to 11 kilometres deep. That's 7 miles. If you put Mount Everest from sea level down that deep, there would still be 4 kilometres of water above its summit. Lots of room for lots of creatures, though the majority live relatively close to the surface. The sea has an attraction for nearly all of us. The majority of people on Earth live within 80 kilometres or 50 miles of the coastline. The ecosystem around beautiful places like Lady Elliot Island support a spectacular array of species in and out of the water.
Just out there under the waves, there's a real war going on. While on the land here, on this island, it's a paradise for birds and people.
Among the 57 species of birds on the island, it's the noddy terns that seem most at home with humans. And as the noddies survive to inhabit the land and trees and shorelines, it's the survival of countless others within the oceans that drives their killer instinct. In all cases of human sting, envenomation and bite, it is we who are the strangers stumbling in the backyards of some seriously dangerous sea animals.
Underlying the incredible beauty out there, every day, billions of little creatures are being stung, poisoned, bitten, swallowed whole and torn to pieces. In fact, it might make you think twice.
about joining them out there.
Rob has shown us the most feared creatures of this inner space should no longer be sharks, but the small, the transparent, and sometimes near invisible creatures filled with ocean venom, just waiting for us.
But then, humans are very low on the dinner list.
He's Rob Bredl, and he's thanking you for joining him on Killer Instinct.